So, what do you do with your Tesla when it's going to be sitting idle for a while? Like if you're going on vacation, maybe for a week, two, maybe a month, maybe longer, who knows? Well, there's a few things to consider. First of all, it uses anywhere from about 0.5% to 1.5% of battery per day that it sits idle. Now, there are some things that affect that, of course. If you have Sentry mode enabled, then it's going to constantly be monitoring, right? You want to turn Sentry mode off, unless maybe you're parking your car somewhere where you want to make sure that it gets watched. However, if you're going to leave Sentry mode on, I would make sure that the car is plugged in. Secondly, you want to turn off the cabin overheat protection function. There's no reason for it to be maintaining the temperature inside the car if you're going to be gone and not driving it. That's just a big drain on the battery. Unless, of course, you've got it plugged in. However, I would still turn that off. Now, it's going to use, as I mentioned, about 0.5 to 1.5% of the battery per day that it's sitting idle and not plugged in. That equates to, at 0.5%, 200 days or 6.5 months. Obviously, if it's closer to the 1.5% range, that time period is going to shrink quite a bit. Now, what am I going to do? Because I am going to be leaving the car sit idle for a while. It's going to be in the garage. I am going to plug it in. And per Tesla's recommendations for this 2024, and it is the rear-wheel drive, so it has the different battery system in it, but Tesla's recommendation is to charge it 100% and keep it plugged in. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep it plugged in. I'm going to turn off Sentry mode and cabin overheat protection and just let it sit and relax. Now, the car is going to go into sleep mode. So it's going to use hardly any energy while I'm away from it and should be just fine anyway. I don't imagine that it's going to constantly be trying to recharge. I mean, I could set the charge threshold down to maybe 95 or 80% or whatever, let the battery run down, and then it will automatically recharge once it gets up above, or once it gets below rather, that threshold. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to follow Tesla's recommendations and go ahead and charge it to 100% and just leave it plugged in. What else is there to do? Well, like any vehicle, I would put some extra air in the tires if you're going to be gone for, say, a month or more, just to make sure that they don't go flat while they're sitting in your garage. The last thing you want to do is have your wheels cutting into or sitting on top of your rubber tires for an extended period of time. I'm going to put probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 pounds extra in, something like that. And I fully expect when I get back to have that pressure down a bit, but not enough that it's going to be any issue. Otherwise, keep it protected. That's about all there really is to do with a Tesla. You could add some windshield washer fluid, I guess. That seems to be a big thing to do with Teslas, other than rotating tires. But I've already done that, so I don't even need to do that. Of course, I'm gonna wash it, I'm gonna sweep it out, because when I get back, I want it to be all nice and clean. And let's face it, the last thing you wanna do when you get back from a trip is wash and clean out your car. I don't wanna have to do that. Or maybe you never do it, so it's really not a big deal. Now, as far as me personally, I have 2 options on where to put it. I can leave it where it is, which is down here on the ground, or I can put it up there on the lift. Now, the reason that I have to make a choice as to which way to go, I guess, is because I have another vehicle that's going to be stored as well. And I actually think I'm going to put the Tacoma up on top because I can bring the lift down a little bit because obviously the Tesla is not as tall as the Tacoma. And I kind of like the idea of having a vehicle a little bit lower on that lift as opposed to taking it all the way up. I don't know that it really makes any difference. And there's kind of a running joke in the family over here, and that is, well, which car do you want to get smashed? I mean, if the lift fails and the car up top falls down, or the vehicle, would you rather have your Tesla smashed Or would you rather have your Toyota Tacoma smashed? Now, since I have the Tacoma channel, I'm sure video views would be awesome if for some reason the lift failed and the Tesla fell down on top of the Tacoma. However, I'm not willing to go to the nth degree to get views, so I am definitely not hoping that that happens. But I think I am going to put the Tacoma up top, and then I'll hook a trickle charger to it because obviously it's not a plug-in electric. The trickle charger, if you're not familiar with them, is pretty simple. What it does is it's really called, I guess, a maintainer, and it does exactly that. It maintains the battery while you're not driving it, because just like the Tesla's batteries, this battery will run down as well if you're not constantly keeping it running or keeping it checked. Maybe not constantly, but more frequently than just leaving it sit in the garage for a couple months or whatever it's going to be. So I will do that, and I can actually reach, I think, the Tacoma better if it's a little bit lower to hook one of these things up to it, as opposed to maybe, and I'm not even sure if it reaches, to be honest. I think it will, but the cord that I have over there for the Tesla would have to stretch up here over to this and plug it in, right? I'm pretty sure it's long enough. I don't think there's any issue. I mean, it reaches over here with a little bit of slack, so I think it would certainly go across up there with a little bit of slack. I don't think there'd be any real issue with that. Now, the only other thing, as I mentioned, is leaving it plugged in. A little piece of me kind of worries about power surges, right? I mean, there is really no surge protector on that line other than the breaker that's in the box. Now, what if there's a storm or something? I know, you think to the nth degree, right? But what if there's a storm or something and it, I don't know, hits somewhere near the house or the house itself or whatever, and current travels through the electrical system and makes its way over there to that plug, and then of course into the Tesla that's constantly hooked up. Well, I think first of all it would probably burn out the unit that you see down below here, the little rectangular thing. I would hope it would burn that out first, maybe the plug itself, or maybe some sort of a breaker in the car. I'm not sure if the Tesla itself has some kind of surge protection in it. If you know the answer to that, leave a comment down below. I'm very curious to know if the Tesla has a built-in surge protection device of some sort. Anyway, I just wanted to get on here, kind of run through that a little bit. I've had my questions as well. You know, what do you do if you want to leave your car sit idle? That's what I'm going to do. Leave a comment. Let me know if there was a better way. I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.